to New Day, still Africa's finest breakfast show. We did tell you we had two very key discussions, one of them being on tax holidays, and the other being the fact that there's plans to set up a security welfare commission to take care of the welfare of security agencies and agents in Nigeria. So let's delve into the welfare commission, how necessary it is if the federal government actually goes ahead to set it up. Let's make welcome in the studio Barrister Jide Adejana, who will be throwing more light on this very discourse. Good morning, Jide. Nice to have you join us.
Good morning. The pleasure is mine. Thank you. Good morning.
All right. There are two line of thoughts. One of them saying, if there's the federal government goes ahead to set up a security welfare commission, it means one of two things. One, probably the security agencies themselves have been found wanting in the part of dispensing welfare for their officers, and at the same time, does that tell us that probably it means they're not trustworthy? If you also look at the amount of money that was stolen by was it Air Marshal Alex Body and Co. That tells us that their hands are not so clean. They're not just clinching to the guns, but also to the naira notes. Could that be a reason?
Well, the word stolen might be too heavy at this point because
taken inappropriately.
because I'm not sure they've been convicted.
So but he has been in court and he has forfeited some amount.
He has been
some
in
money.
Court. He has returned some money,
okay,
but no court of law has declared him a thief.
So what do you call someone that took the money?
The case, you see, this is a matter that is sub judice. Okay. So we cannot say, and in its entirety, we have our own opinions, okay, independent of what the law says. But we can't now just come on here and say he's a thief. Yeah. Let's leave that to the court. Let the court find him wanting. Let the court declare him a thief.
Okay, but what happens if the court does not declare him a thief? But obviously,
that means he's not a thief.
So how do you describe someone who takes government funds for personal use?
Well, you see, that's what the previous president was trying to explain, that within our laws, okay, there's a difference between a corrupt person and a thief per se.
Okay.
So he must have corruptly, unjustly enriched himself. Now, that is corruption. Yeah. But until the court of law declares him a thief.
But what would make them declare him a thief? What would they need now to say? Because you took money that wasn't yours. And
yes, if you take something, actually, by the definition of law, a thief is someone who takes something which is not in his possession.
Okay.
Now, if something is kept in your possession and you convert it to your personal use, it can be embezzlement, it can be unjust enrichment, it can be many other things. Okay, you might not call it a thief, but you see, because he's charged with many allegations, it will get to a point where they can also that stealing can be part of the charges.
Okay.
Yes. So at that point, the court declares him a thief.
But is it because he's a high-profile person?
It's not because he's not because. No. It's not because he's a high-profile personality.
Okay.
We use the word as we pleases in our own local
lexicon, right?
Without having a recourse, because you can't pronounce any human being guilty except he's being tried.
Okay.
You can't just wake up in the morning and say he's a thief. You know how many people that have been unjustly killed just because somebody shouted thief, and they just killed them. Meanwhile, they never did anything.
Okay.
So
but in this case,
now everything is still alleged.
But in this case, something has been done.
Something has been done. Is alleged. Okay. Is being investigated. Is being prosecuted. So let's wait for the outcome of what the court will say is. But
no matter how long it takes.
Well, no matter how long it takes. But let's come to the issue. The issue at hand is the Security Welfare Commission.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little perturbed as to why the federal government wants to set up a new body to administer the welfare of security agencies. Particularly, we know of Police Service Commission and the Army Welfare Scheme. All these are targeted at the welfare of security personnel in Nigeria. Now, their function is also to see to the welfare, the projects, and the buildings and everything that has to do with both the civil force and the military force. Now, it's unfortunate during the past administration, we hear how that men were sent to the battleground without proper welfare, proper ammunition,
Yes.
Okay.
because welfare just goes beyond what you eat and what you feed. Your your battle appliances, your battle equipment, your arsenals, all goes to point to your welfare, because you can't be going to war without being properly kitted. You are just sent there to die if you are not being kitted for that war.
Yeah.
So they are already established, these organizations, and you see the Ministry of Defense will always tell us and claim that any soldier that complains that his welfare is not being taken care of is only acting on his own, is not saying the truth, all the truth that there is to say, because they believe that they have been able to disburse money adequately to both the soldiers, the foot soldiers, and the rank and file, and all of them. But it's quite unfortunate that we still hear and we still see that there is more to be done.
Yeah.
So I was, in my own opinion, would have thought that what the federal government would have done would have been to strengthen this system that already exists,
Okay.
instead of creating a fresh one. I also think there should be harmonization in the welfare of both the civil force and the military force. It's so disturbing that up till today, when you go to some police barracks, you almost weep for them.
Yeah.
I used to stay in Ilorin, Kwara State, and I stay very close to the barracks. Most of them do not have, whether by means of their personal poverty or their mentality, do not have window blinds. You know what they use as their window blind? Banner that people use to advertise
Wow.
churches, programs. They just go and remove the banner overnight and use it as window blind in their houses. It's as bad as that. You go to some police houses in the barracks and you can't sit down. You can't just afford to sit down. So it's as bad as that. It shows that the much media hype that the agency saddled, the commission saddled with this responsibility make, the much noise they make on media, does not necessarily show what is happening in the real sense of it.
Is it possible it's just the top rank and file that are enjoying the goodies coming from the Nigerian Police Commission?
Very well, it's not impossible, but you see, again, when you look at some top ranking officer, they live in good houses, drive posh cars. That is not to say it's from their hard-earned money, from their welfare scheme. Some of them have also unjustly enriched themselves, just like it's being said about the former Air Vice Marshal Alex Bade, who is presently under trial. So you see him driving posh car, owning private jets. It's not from his welfare. It's not from any.
So at this point now, do we blame the ordinary policeman on the street who tries to
improve his
improve his
welfare?
own
No. The fact that your welfare is not good enough is no
not reason
justification for you to begin to engage in corrupt practices, bribery on the street, and then inhuman treatment of the citizen you are supposed to protect.
Okay.
The fact that because you signed up for this, you knew what it was. We are saying that it can be better. We are saying that there should be an improvement. We are saying that instead of creating a double agency and having to harmonize them, it might make sense in the end to harmonize them.
Okay.
But you see, strengthen what is on ground. Start with strengthening what is on ground. Because these days what government do is they create an agency, they put people there. Those people don't even know the terms of reference. They don't know what they are supposed to do. So in the long run, you find out that people just go to the office, sit down, read newspaper, and go home.
Okay.
And everything is dormant.
And everything is dormant, and everything remains the same. And then you see, we should go beyond ethnicity in our military and security operations. In their welfare scheme, you find out that people who get houses, who get loans, who get things, are some persons from, they say is federal character commission. They begin to look at, okay, you are from the south. If my brother is a southerner heading this commission, I should be able to get. So you approach him like, bros, we'll leave this job and go back home. So it's better now you favor me before we go home. We'll soon retire. We shouldn't begin to do things like that. We should look at the holistic approach of it.
Of course.
Service should be based on merit, should be based on qualification, should be based on maybe, if it's not enough, you have a means of disbursing these things out so that it gets to everybody. It shouldn't be that it's for a particular set of people. It's for people who know who. You shouldn't use any connection or any unjust means to be able to get even the welfare you're entitled to.
Of course. All right, now still talking about the setting up of the commission, the military has actually opposed this. They've said issues bordering on security shouldn't be politicized. This is coming from the military. Do you see anything to that, them opposing this proposal?
I agree with them to the extent that it shouldn't be politicized, but I don't think politics is when you want to set up a commission to manage their welfare. You see, we have suffered more than enough military rule in Nigeria, and our mentality has been be clouded somehow by that regime. Now, having come out of that, the military are not standing on their own in the society. They emanated from the society, and they are supposed to protect the society. Now, in governing, they should also have set of rules confining them. You see, when you begin to involve commissions, civil servants in their operation, it makes them to begin to have some level of respect for the individual man on the street.
Yeah.
Because you also know that, okay, this person, they are involved in how we are being governed. They are involved in, you begin to have a level of respect for them. You don't just feel that, okay, because I'm wearing a camouflage uniform, I'm superior to I'm a superhuman, I'm superior to everybody. Gone are those days when you go to fuel station, a military man does not queue up. He just chases all of you out of the line and just dashed in because he's wearing uniform. He tells you, I'm on security assignment, even though he's not going anywhere. I'm on security. All of this need to be checkmated too.
Yes.
And we are going back to full democracy. So we should begin to look at how we involved the civilians, even in the welfare and governance of the military apparatus.
Just to add to that, something a little bit away from that, but something similar. Recently, we heard that a lady was made to strip because she was on a camouflage. Yes, I mean,
it's very unfortunate. You see, dehumanization and inhuman treatment.
Could they be sued even though the woman was wearing a camouflage?
Yes, they can be sued. The fact that no security operative is a judge in law.
Okay.
So if somebody is caught doing something wrong, it's not up to you to sentence the person by your own whims and caprice and say, okay, the punishment for you is now to strip naked.
Yeah.
No. You are supposed to hand over the person to the law.
Yeah.
The law decides the appropriate punishment. So you don't come to the public and dehumanize any human because they have offended the law. It's not in your place. Your place is to arrest and, if possible, prosecute or hand over to the prosecuting agency.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Looking at, let's assume this commission is to be set up. For you, what should be the ideal makeup of the committee or the commission? Should it be run by probably outsourced to a auditing firm? Who is going to be in charge? That's depending if we're looking at the financial sector of it now. How do you think we'll get the best out of the commission?
No, the makeup is going to include, I envisage is going to include everybody from all walks of life.
Okay.
I intend to see a civil servant there, a lawyer there, a medical personnel there, an accountant there, excuse me, even some of the top-ranking military officers there, because it's supposed to be an holistic commission that will see to the welfare. I feel personally that everything should be harmonized, starting from the police, civil defense, armed forces. you should harmonize their welfare. Don't let it be that somebody in the police will feel somebody in the army is superior to me.
Okay.
That's why you have this civil rivalry between them most times.
Yeah.
That when they meet on they tend to be edgy and want to say, no, I'm superior to you, no, I have more gunfire than you, and all of that, you see. But when their welfare is harmonized, people will even prefer to remain in the police than to go to the army. Of course, it's a whole level of different sacrifice on either part of them, but when it is substantially harmonized and the difference is not such that you begin to look at the other person in the other service as being inferior, I think we'll have a better force. And
but don't you think if a private entity takes charge of it, we're going to see greater efficiency rather than government handpicking people? Because this same top echelons are the people who have not succeeded in delivering welfare to their officers in any form. Why still bring them into the commission? Wouldn't that sadden it?
If a private body is taking care of it, to what end is that? There is no private business that is not set out for profit making. So once you begin to profitize it, once it becomes a profit oriented organization, what are you then looking at?
What if the
You
government
begin to
says,
look
okay, we're going to pay you X amount for this time frame for you to...
No. It's not a local thing. It's a federal. Security is
a national issue.
Is a national issue.
Okay.
It's under the exclusive legislative list. So
okay.
it's left to, is within the exclusive preserve of the federal government. And I feel that our civil service is going beyond laxity, lackadaisical approach to service. We are living that state of sloppy service and all of that. So I think there is fresh blood in civil service now, and I feel they will be able to handle this.
Yeah, from everything we've said so far, would you be of the opinion that setting up this commission would lead to a repositioning of the security agencies for efficient delivery?
Yes, it will.
Completely.
Yes, it will. But I feel just before we jump into setting up the commission, let's revamp the police service commission. Let's do something about the military welfare scheme. From there, we can bring them together to harmonize them and now call them whatever name we intend to call them. I don't think we should just abandon those ones, kill them, and then jump to a new thing. No, let there be a progression from there. Let it flow from there to a new welfare scheme. I think that should be the best approach.
And then also one of the things that the bill being proposed by the Committee on Security Affairs from the House says that they're proposing the bill to make the appointment of service chiefs subject to the confirmation of the National Assembly. How do you think that would really?
Yes, I think there is that is actually a what will I call it now? A disagreement between the Constitution and the Armed Forces Act.
Yeah.
The Armed Forces Act says that service chiefs, their appointment is subject to confirmation by Section 18. Okay. But you see, by Section 280 of the Constitution, that portion of subject to confirmation by the National Assembly was being omitted. Okay. So they are only trying to harmonize those two laws to now say that, yes, your appointment should be subject. It's already in the Armed Forces Act that your appointment by Section 18 of the Armed Forces Act, that the appointment of any service chief is subject to confirmation by the National Assembly.
But do you see it as a very good? If you look at
it, we are under democratic rule.
But the constant rift between the National Assembly, the presidency, and how they tend to hold people to ransom.
That is in this administration.
Okay.
It has not always been. We've not always experienced this rift between the National Assembly and by and large, the National Assembly has still done their bit by confirming those people they ought to confirm. Okay. You see, when you send people for screening, the National Assembly is presumed to be representing the whole of Nigeria, because it is impossible for the whole of Nigeria to gather in one place and begin to say we want this person. So they are representing our minds, and their opinion is supposed to be the masses' opinion. So if the National Assembly says this person, because of this and this and this, is not qualified to occupy this office, I think is not a do or die affair. There is no one person that is the only candidate eligible for anything in life.
But we saw that case with the EFCC boss.
Yes, it's because the presidency is making it look as if without Magu, Nigeria is going to die. And I don't think Nigeria is going to collapse without him. You know? And we can see that this will continue to play out in every facet of our lives. Very soon, we are going to start having acting husbands, acting wives, because now we have acting president. He's been there for 90 days. My question is, how long should he act? Should he act throughout the entirety of office? There should be an end to everything.
Yes.
So how long is acting? Acting means you are not in full capacity. You are acting instead of someone. Yes, the constitution says you have the power to do all that he has the power to do, but is he doing everything in the real sense of it? Of course he is not. So I feel that it's left for the party to look inwards and the National Assembly members, because you see the party, the APC, still have the majority in the National Assembly. So they need to go home and harmonize things and sit down.
Now, just to get your view on how we can really, because we've talked about how the problem with the Nigerian police force and some other security agencies, just in your thoughts, how can we really reposition the police force, especially because talking about some things that they do on the road, on some activities they carry out, and then there was the police complaint unit that was set up for individuals to report complaints. But then again, we still see these things happen. Police officers treat individuals whichever way they like. And then we also talk, like we highlighted earlier, collecting of bribe on the road, which is not right. How, in your thoughts, how can we really make the welfare of these people come up so that they don't do things, engage in activities like
first of all, when you've not trained somebody, you can't blame him for the mistake he makes. I feel first their training school needs to be re-examined, re-evaluated, re-engineered, because I am wondering what they are being taught in the training school. They go, yes, police colleges and police training schools. They go there, they come out, and you just see that it's like they just went for an initiation into this is how it is being done. So I think whatever they are being taught needs to be their syllabus needs to be updated and looked into. First of all, then discipline should be enforced. You see, when you set rules and people see that you are abiding by the rules, like you make 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 persons scapegoats, they begin to sit up. Others begin to sit up. Even when they want to do, they weigh it. Can I afford to lose my job because of this? They begin to weigh it in their mind. Now, as it is, there is no discipline. A police officer will tell you, I will do it and go and report me. Nothing will happen. Because they actually know that even if anything is going to happen, they will be already ready for retirement, But when you put proper disciplinary measures in place, not a kangaroo court thing, proper disciplinary measure from the top ranking to the lowest ranking, they begin to sit up. You set rules, you set order, and then you now look at their welfare. You begin to provide the basic amenity. Let every police child be decent. Let him be able to afford 3 square meals. Let them be able to send their children to school, the best of schools if possible. At that point, the police job becomes enviable. I don't take unnecessary bribe for what you want to offer me when I know that I can sustain myself with what I earn. So when these things are done, the police will be properly repositioned.
All right. My final question before we let you go. Looking at all this, which of them do you think should come first? You said the training before the welfare, right?
Yes.
Okay. If the training, the welfare comes right, what should be the penalty? Let's assume we go according to your plan. The training, then the welfare, and they're still found wanting. What should be the best?
No, the best penalty usually is dismissal. It's usually dismissal, But like I said, it's because even the society itself is not working. It's not working appropriately.
Really.
So when you dismiss a police officer, some of them still have access to some things. They have access to their contacts, they have access to guns, they have access to a lot of ammunitions, you know.
Yeah.
So they just become defiant in the society and begin to. But you see, where the society is working properly and there is sustainable system, they can't go back to any of those vices, you know. At best, some of them can now set up private security organizations,
Yeah.
which we also need for now. You know, we should begin to look away from using policemen to guard
The
places,
elites.
guard the elites. You should begin to look at a retired, a dismissed police officer, you know, that has gone through the process of reformation,
Yeah.
can now become a personal bodyguard, a private bodyguard to somebody, and you don't have to go and start, you know, diminishing the number of persons we have in the police force.
All right, that's how we're going to wrap on the first lap of our discussion. We're looking at setting up of a welfare commission for security agencies and agents in the country. I want to say a big thank you to Barrister Jide Adejana for doing justice to the topic. I'll be going for another quick break. When we come back, we'll be delving into the next conversation.